And in this corner,
Hey, both of us got bandanas on with our Bibles in our hands. Miller versus Darius.
oh, you know that would be so funny.
Yeah, it would.
To see who could get there first and be talking over each other in different versions of the Bible.
Oh yeah.
Somebody reading from the KJV and the other person
I'm
reading
gonna go with my own version. I'm explaining it in my way.
Okay.
So not even the message, huh? Even more.
No,
The
it's gonna be
DJV.
the DIB.
The DIV,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
There
There's
it is,
international version.
What's up, everyone? We
Aha.
are live.
Aha. What's
here
up?
on Convrs8 here on the CMC.
I'm back, y'all.
That's right. She is back. The superstar is back. She's
Nice
been
to meet you.
traveling the internets.
Ah,
All over the internet.
all over the internet, in the world.
Of the internet.
Hey, she tried to Justin Timberlake us, but they
we pulled the
sunned
clause
her
in
back.
the contract.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
We went down into the
wrote
small
a
print on
contract?
them and
No.
said, hey, you don't come back.
Yeah.
I've already said too much.
I had to get legal involved.
Kidding.
You don't come back to this podcast. You are done in Atlanta.
Ooh, that ball, man.
You'll never work in this town again.
Wow.
And she'd be like, I'll just move somewhere else. Oh, look, Decatur. That's right.
You gonna use geography on me?
Come on. You're good. You're good in Atlanta.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I'm good.
In the metropolitan area of Atlanta, that means all the surrounding areas. Alpharetta, Roswell, Sandy Springs, Smyrna, Marietta, Kennesaw, East Point, what else? I can't remember all of them.
I'll go to make
But
it.
it's a lot. You're going to make it. That's good. You know what I mean?
Right off our
Oh, is
territory.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
them country
You heard these
music down
words.
there.
You heard these words here. So if this actually comes to pass, like everything else in my life that's been spoken out of his mouth.
Hey, you know I'm prophetic. I told you.
When you see the true Hollywood story,
I'm
it's
close
our
to
fault.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's
That
no,
she
it's not
broke off
yours. Don't
and
you put
made it.
yourself in this, Steve. It's him.
Hey,
You'll be the
I'm
bad
gonna
guy in the Hollywood
I won't
story.
be the bad guy because you heard what she just said. All the good things happen to her that come out of my mouth. I speak life into her life.
Come on, life.
You know what I'm saying?
Life,
so
life,
everything I ask her to do
life.
and say, Melly, you'll be good at this.
Mm-hmm.
She succeeded because I
Yeah.
already see it inside her. I just draw it out.
All right. Okay, fishing pole.
You know what I'm saying?
Fisher of...
You know what I'm
Mella.
Wow. But
That
yes, we are back. I don't even know what to do with myself right now. We're all
Me
together.
neither, man. You
When was
know
the
what?
last time y'all were on then?
Woo! Together?
Together?
Yeah.
Together? Ooh, about a month.
Yeah.
Two.
Yeah.
About a month and a half.
About a month.
Since Sonia.
Yeah, since so good.
Yeah.
That's a month.
God,
So
that was longer than a month.
That was over a month.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was
We
like
was-
in March, wasn't
We
it?
was at Rolling Place then.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Time
yeah.
flies.
Always good to get the
Tom
game
No,
Flies.
back.
well, no,
Famous.
because we had the Bella, the.
Oh yeah, Capo.
We had the Bellas.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
yes.
it.
So,
That's it.
so
Yeah,
the
yeah.
beginning of April.
Beginning of
Yeah,
April.
beginning of April.
That was our last
You know
time
what I'm
together.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was our last time. You know what I'm saying? We had them on.
Shout out Capabella if you're watching.
Yeah, shout out Capabella
Doing your
and
thing in
Bitter
Arkansas.
Darlings. I might be coming to your art show. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, there's one at that Whole Foods.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
what, 14th Street.
Yeah, I might show up.
Oh, the
man.
new one.
Yes. Yeah, Bitter Darling.
Might show up and eat some
What's up?
Whole
lemongrass.
Foods in Midtown.
Yes, people are going crazy. Like the first day that thing was open, it was like a circus.
I
Like
bet.
people are just like, ooh.
Yeah,
Like they had never seen a Whole Foods before.
There's one right right around from Buckhead Theater.
Yeah, man. But
Convenience.
People love new stuff.
they love do stuff.
Free giveaways,
Yeah.
probably.
There were some giveaways. Yeah,
They
you
weren't
know
handing
what?
out no fried chicken. It don't
Well, that's not quite.
Whole.
I didn't want to start that conversation,
Not a piece of food. A piece of chicken.
but Whole Food represents,
Oh,
you
gosh.
know,
I'm
the
done.
upper
Transition.
echelon
Right.
of Yeah, they serve wheatgrass shots.
There you go.
And
Wow.
stuff like that.
They do.
Siobhan love that place. I just be like, yeah.
I'm just setting up shots, you guys.
You are
Don't mind me. Yep.
live?
I'm just whining.
Where your wife at, man?
She's getting her hair did.
Whoa!
Oh,
They talk about when you be around one another, but
Wow.
I thought she was gonna come to me and let me do it.
No, Darius. Absolutely not.
Could have hooked her up.
Start
Yep,
taking
sure
on
could
the
have.
language of the 5 people in your life that you are closest with.
really?
That's true.
Mannerisms, language. I even find myself speaking like Mike Patterson now.
Really?
Come on, Patterson, we got work to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen for it now. The whole episode, I'm listening for it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But all right. I think we're ready to just press record right now.
You already
Talking
at
about
the
record
top?
on
For
this.
the audio, yeah.
Alright, you know what I mean?
You at the top?
Huh?
Are you at the top?
At the top of what?
At the top of the
Talking about the red
number
button.
1. Is it? Did I put it all the way back?
Yeah.
Okay. Why you know, I'm just,
You act like I ain't been here before.
you know,
You know
I'm
what
not
I'm
saying
saying?
that you did.
If it went for me figuring out things, we wouldn't be
Can you
here.
pass me a Dasani before we
Man.
a Dasani? Yes. Sparkling.
Promise you.
I'm about to
you
look.
would.
Oh.
Anyway, you know why? You know, you've been around me too long.
You've been around me too long.
No, you
I was
got-
here first.
You used to be
Shut
a
up,
night.
guys.
No, I was here first.
Who?
I baptized for you.
Really?
I baptized for
Mm.
you.
What year?
2012.
Oh, okay.
You came a little after me.
A little after.
A little after.
Okay.
Yeah, man. I remember when you seeing you get out thing look like you.
I wasn't. You know, I wasn't doing
But
that.
anyway,
You said I used to be not. There's
you
nothing
used to be
that's
so
changed.
nice.
So you were 2012?
Yeah.
I know you're 2012. We're 2012.
2013.
Hey, come on,
Yeah,
middle season Christians.
Yes.
A little more than half a
And then
decade.
Miller been around me the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time.
The whole time. All the way through
Your
my
engagement,
engagement,
process,
dating, all that.
all that,
Yeah.
up close and personal.
Up close and personal. That's why she is the little thorn in my side.
Well, Paul asked that to be removed, and it wasn't. So
So it's
That-
not.
She
Keep
it
me in,
sharp.
Lord.
Y'all ready to roll?
Yep.
Yes.
All right.
Ready to roll.
Uno, dos, tres.
Yeah.
What up, everybody? It's your boy Darius J.
And I'm Stevie Neal.
And it's your girl Mela G.
with special guests.
The Jacksons.
oh, now Ed Jackson, Tasha Jackson.
Wow, what is your name?
I just don't know how to act. I'm so excited to just like be in the presence.
All right.
All right.
Hey!
Why you doing it like that, Miller? You always trying to do something different. It ain't working.
This is
This is
Convrs8.
Convrs8.
Wow.
We back. You know what I'm saying? We starting to be a bi-monthly podcast for the time being. But yeah, we are a show of believers, Christ-like walkers, and people that talk about random things and topics that go on in our society. Today, we try to bring some light perspectives to things and also offer some great wisdom in the process. We believe that regular people make the world go round. And as you listen to us, check us out on our...
Various platforms.
Oh, you froze now. See that you usually do it. She fired. She's
What?
going back to where she
What are you
came
talking
from.
about?
Mind over matter.
Mind your own, first of all.
Mind your own.
Second of all, before we get into
I know.
today's discussion,
Mhm.
please take the opportunity to follow us on all of our platforms: Facebook, Convrs8 Media Collective. Also subscribe, like, and ring that bell so that you know when we're uploading videos when we do.
All right. So,
Yes.
conductor.
Yes.
Get back in that
You're
conductor
back.
chair.
I'm here.
You ready to do your job?
Yes, I'm ready to do my job.
Mm-hmm.
So today, so I know that today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite childhood cartoons, author.
Yes.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, breaking news.
Breaking news.
Wee, 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 wee.
Breaking
The
news.
commencement speaker of Morehouse College
Yeah.
paid all their debt off. Student loans.
Yeah, Christ. I should have went to Morehouse.
Class of 2019. Student loans.
$40 million.
Paid $40
Woo!
million.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Paid off.
Boy, I bet they
What
did.
what a great graduation gift.
Was that part of Days and them, too?
No, that was just the undergraduate institution.
Yeah. But that is a huge leg up for those young men. Great head start to their lives as professionals. Because I even saw something about student loans. There are 3 million senior citizens that are still paying their student loans.
Wow.
What?
3 million. And that's just now. Think about that. That's going to compound in about 15 or 20 years.
Oh, it been compounded.
Yeah, you know,
already.
Even if you look at how much they paid for their education
Right.
at that time, compared to what it costs now
Right,
to go to
and
a
that's
4-year
why.
institution.
Exactly. So it's just like, this is money the government's not, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. People going to die before they pay their student loans off.
Man.
But yeah, that's great. But yeah, tremendous leg up for these young men.
So, hey, whoever you are, you know what I'm saying?
Robert Smith is his
Robert
name.
Smith, if I decide to go back to school, will you hook me up? You know what I'm saying?
I think commencement speaker is like a one-off thing, you know, like you can't like a multiple years.
Yeah, he need to come back if I decide to go to school.
Yeah, I guess you don't have that many billionaires.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. But that's cool though, because a lot of times people, you know, you really got a great start. You start at zero.
Yeah.
Instead of having to suffer through looking for a job with the heat of Navient on your heels. Navient don't play. Well, Navient be hitting you up. They be like, hey, what's up? You know what I mean? I know you graduated. You ain't got a job yet. We don't did 2 deferrals. Won't be a third one. Yeah, you better figure it out.
Right.
McDonald's or something, you can't make it as a engineer yet. You might have to start at McDonald's first.
As a
Until
fry
you can
engineer.
give me my money, because they'll come snatch that check.
A Chick-fil-A sandwich architect.
Exactly.
Hey man,
That
Target
works.
is hiring, bro. We
Target.
were at Target last night, man.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
trying to tell you. But see, y'all, Morehouse graduates, y'all in a good place, man. Y'all coming out with your pockets still attached to your pants, because I'm telling you, student loan tear them pockets out. It's like holes in your pants. You just put money in there, and all of a sudden you look down, it's on the ground, and nab it right behind you, picking it up. To my appreciate
You dropped this, but I'm going to take it.
you. You dropped it. You know what I'm saying? And I know we charge you way too much for education, but you know, this the system we live in. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, because I be feeling like, oh man, like even from when I was going to college, like it costs way more now. I was like, dang man, y'all have to pay this much money to go to school now. Your Zell Miller grant don't even cover a lot of homo and stuff like that. That's just like cover pennies. You still can't have to loan money just to get tuition up. Not yet alone your books and stuff like that. Man, that stuff is crazy.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm so adamant about creating programs that will help. Well, you know, I'm more so focused on the arts, but I don't think you necessarily have to go to college for the arts, honestly. There's a lot of things that I've learned outside of college that has helped me within my career now. So I feel like that's why I'm so adamant about people or students who are in middle school and high school that, you know, want to have, you know, a career in the arts, to be able to create a program with the knowledge that I've gained through going to college and helping them create a professional portfolio so that when they graduate high school, they are prepared and ready for an entry-level job, or they're prepared and ready to start their own business. Because I just like, just to come out of high school even, with a plan and a goal, that they want to obtain, and like really kind of focused and honing in like, okay, let's look at this job. What are the requirements? What makes you eligible for this? What type of training do you need? What does your portfolio need to look like? What does your resume need to look like? So that once you graduate, you already have the necessary, tools, the necessary skills, and the necessary documents that you need to be able to present to this company, or to get your own business started. Be like, hey, this is what I've done. I work with this company. It's credible, because my company is credible. And, and...
Shameless plug.
Yeah. and yeah, just be able to prepare them for that type of success. Because I'm just all about bringing up the next generation, with the things that I've learned and I've gained through going through college and paying all that money. That's just my way to give back, and also be able to help pay off that stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, it's one of many passion projects that I have, but that's like that's my biggest passion. Like, I really love youth. I love working with youth, and especially in the capacity of arts and just helping them in that aspect, because I don't want you to have to go to all these different institutes and pay these thousands and thousands of dollars to get this piece of paper, and then it's like, well, what do I do now? Because it's very far in between that you actually get an internship or something that's going to help you set you up by the time you get out of, the university. So, yeah, this
what would be really cool is if that class could get together collaboratively and do something to pay it forward to the next class.
That's
or maybe it'll
saying.
be 4 classes from now, but just because they've had that advantage that's not giving them any, they take advantage of it and pay it forward.
Yeah. That's what he was saying in the
too.
article. He's like, this is the reason. He said he feels like this is his class. One, because he was able to speak at this, commencement, but also because he feels like this is the class to pay it forward. Right. And in the article, as well, there was a mother that was speaking, that son was a part of this commencement ceremony. But her son is also a junior at Morehouse, so he'll be graduating, next year. She's like, I hope he comes back so the same thing can happen. A mother's dream. But in my mind, I was talking to Steve on the way here. I was like, well, maybe her son, who was able to get his student loans paid for, could think of a way to be able to pay his brothers, student loans off.
That money you were that money you were going to pay, maybe you could pay your brother's loans. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, good point.
I'm back.
Just had a fan quieted.
Man, all I say, man, I'm just happy for him, man. I wish, like, my boss would just come up to everybody and say, I'm going to pay your debt off, period. And I'd be thankful. I'd probably stay there forever.
But this definitely ensures that there will be some donors in the future. I mean, I would be grateful.
But he kind of don't hurt himself, too, because people just going to be asking for him to come speak.
Spread it around the HBCUs.
That's just like, hey, you remember, all of a sudden, Xavier come knocking at the hey, everybody, hey, you remember you spoke at, how about coming and speak to our people at Xavier?
They would have to keep those plans under wraps, like him coming. Like, but because enrollment would just slide over to like school to school if they ever knew he was coming.
Getting those last minute credits short, and you're really not on the 4 years.
Oh, goodness. That was great, for that to happen and for him to be able to even be in a position to be able to do that for them. I bet that was like probably one of the best graduation gifts they received that day.
I would burst out in tears.
I got a car.
I'd have been on my knees just looking up like, Jesus, you real. For real. Because I didn't know what I was going to do.
But so we're going to transition it into one of my childhood favorite.
Saddest things I ever heard.
So, Mr. Ratburn, an author, in the most recent episode, got married to another man in the episode.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, when we shared it within the Convrs8 group, a lot of people was shocked that this was happening. Some people kind of hinted that this is the way that he lived his life.
The judgment.
What I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
Because I was like that too. I was like, man, Mr. Ratburn,
he like bird watching.
Yeah, you know, he had a look. He. Oh, she's.
So it's like.
Continue, Mella.
I'm just saying what the article said. Okay,
all right.
This is not Mella. This is not
I was
Mella
about
G
to say,
words.
I'm
Okay.
like, ooh.
So I'm just saying because I know there was some people that interacted on that post within our group, and they were saying that this is this not common knowledge. So somebody,
Okay,
yeah.
So I'm not
know.
sure. I didn't catch it growing up because one, that's not something I was focused on, nor was I probably even exposed to. Really. Like it wasn't really talked about.
Like public TV, you know what I mean? Like
PBS,
they would
man.
Intentionally, unless they've kind of retconned it somehow. Like,
I mean, they must have switched to HBO or something.
like Sesame Street. See,
Yeah,
Sesame Street's next.
Yeah,
there it is.
But I didn't see. But you know what I mean. I'm gonna tell you what I've been already thinking about. Once I looked at Sesame Street, I remember 5 years ago, I had my nephews. And we were looking at Sesame Street, and all of a sudden I was just sitting there. I was just like, some of this stuff don't seem quite right.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I can't go into detail. Burn nerve for one.
Oh,
come on.
And how they look down on homeless people, such as Grouch, you know what I'm saying, in the trash can.
Stop it.
And the elephant that was on, he clearly acted like he was on drugs. You know what I'm saying?
He
was a hobo.
He had a mood disorder, man.
Like, hey, bird.
Exactly. You know what I mean? He was a hobo elephant, man.
That was a good
He had a sister living with him and everything in poverty.
Hey, man, homeless people got dogs.
I guess so, but he's a whole sister living with him.
They might be living together.
They might be
on the streets,
trying to avoid separation with the government.
Talking about Mr. Snuffleupagus.
Yes.
Come on,
yeah.
They don't want to get in the system because then they'll be separated.
But back to
there you go.
Good job. Good job.
I had to do it myself because I was going to follow him. And I was just like, no, I'm not doing this with you today. I'm going to stay up here on the side of God.
Yeah, Mr. Ratburn. Mr. Ratburn. I mean, this is a show that's been going on for 22 years now, if you can believe it. Since like, what? Wow. Yeah, 97. You know, I was in high school. See, I was in high school when this show came out, but I still followed it because I liked the books as a kid. And I liked the way the show made it better than the books. Yeah, to be like, they gave everybody like some distinct characteristics, and they were talking about some stuff that you wanted to learn in life. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I can see how a show lasts for 22 years like that. Yeah. So then they're just kind of, you know, they want to be inclusive and they want to expose kids to stuff that they're going to encounter. And therein lies this. You know, because you're going to encounter it.
And not only encounter it, some of them are living it. So I mean, just... This is my life. It's not, this is my friend's life, or this is what I saw. This is my life. So
I was looking at the creator of the show was given a synopsis of why he decided to include this episode. Right. And it was basically to facilitate discussion of the topic, the situation between parents. He wanted to start the conversation to allow mothers and fathers, or however that looks nowadays, to talk to their kids about it. And he also said, you know, what Tasha said, it's a part of our society. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just, you know, so in 97, that probably wasn't even on his brain.
Probably not.
To even, you know, want to include that. So it was just interesting to hear the creator's, you know, viewpoint and perspective on why he decided to do it. Yeah. And so, you know, to start conversation, I think, is always good.
Yeah, it's always a good thing. As long as you ain't trying to force points or issues on people, I don't think it's a problem. Because, I mean, things happen, people don't understand, and that can always cause issues in society. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of times, like, we don't talk about things, or like it wouldn't, like, even come from just my childhood. The reason why I adapted well a lot in society was because my mom always told me things I was going to see outside before I got out of there. And we live in a society now that they kind of let people just run into things, you know what I'm saying? And things are not thoroughly discussed. They don't, because even like, you know, people so busy, they don't really have time to sit down and educate their kids on things they may see outside the doors. You know what I mean? Because I see how much my sister worked with my nephews and stuff like that, and it's kind of hard to be around them and teach them everything because guess what? They spend 8 hours outside your house every day. You know what I mean? They're around the public, teachers, other students, other issues that they may have no idea what it is. If you can bring something about in a peaceful manner, then keep people from going at ends at each other or putting people in compromised situations, I'm for it. But it's just, with me, sometimes I feel like if you're just trying to force an agenda, I just like, that ain't the way to do it. You know what I mean? But it seems like they doing it just to bring about conversation, and conversation is always good.
Yeah, because, you know, kids are very inquisitive. I work with kids all day, Monday through Friday. Pray for me. And they're very inquisitive. They're 3-year-olds, and they're asked why, and why this, and why that. And so even at our school, you know, we read about books where, you know, it's kind of up to our own interpretation more so because we can't really talk about that or discuss that within that space. But like there's books where we talk about like there's this same-sex marriage and you know, and so my teacher, I know one of my kids was like, well, why are they, you know, together? And it's like, I don't remember what my other, I didn't know how to explain it. Yeah. But the co-teacher, you know, had a good way of, you know, kind of like just, you know, saying that every family is pretty much different. Like, you know, not every family has a mommy and a daddy, basically. But they put books in that environment so kids are made aware that, you know, every household is different. Like, not everybody has a mommy and daddy. It's either two mommies, sometimes it's two daddies. And so it's just kind of like exposing them to that. Because I think about how helpful that would be for it to start at home, or, you know, it's at that the connotations of whatever it is, you know, like if your experiences, you know, with that is negative, as you grow, you can say that at home, this is what my mom and dad taught me, or this is what, you know, my parents taught me. About how to view that and, you know, how to, you know, identify that. So, yeah, I definitely agree that this is, you know, and I'm grateful that was kind of his, you know, kind of motivation in doing that, to kind of get the conversation started. Because sometimes it can be like a taboo topic, like, oh, they're too young to, there's so much like sexual innuendos and like just commercials, and even in cartoons. Yeah. Like they may not catch it, but like I'll be watching, like I'll be babysitting some, you know, kids, and I'll be watching a cartoon or a movie with them. I'm like, we not watching this anymore. But it's like they don't know. But I mean, I think to a point that they do make cartoons to keep adults engaged because they know they're probably watching it, you know, with their, you know, kids and stuff like that. So let me kind of put something in there that only they will catch, you know, that would determine whether or not the kid is going to keep watching it or not. Because it just be implanted into your subconscious. Because I'm just like, there's shows that I go back and watch now, and I'm like, oh, that's what I was watching when I grew up. But I didn't know that because that wasn't something that, you know, I was aware of.
And that's actually what the guy said. He was like, I know parents are going to be watching this with their children. Right. And it'll start the whole, you know, thing. And, you know, to Darius' point, you know, when you said pushing the agenda, you know, Tasha and I, we have a 13 and getting ready to be 11-year-old. And so we have had to have this talk. And I think when you have the influence of your children, because that's why God has put us here to influence our kids and train our kids, then now we can teach our kids what our, you know, values are, you know, and what our convictions are about the topic. So.
So I think it's a great tool to, you know, like you said, discussion, man, because it's all about just talking, because it's like I said, it's so much stuff going on now. It's like I'm not saying that there's more stuff. It's just it's being exposed, and if you're not preparing, you know what I'm saying, your children for it or people for it anyway, a lot of things can get messed up, man.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's probably a degree of like confusion or outrage about this, like but maybe not so much so. I think maybe we've had the conversation enough to where it's like this was a matter of time, especially as a show like, you know, like we were saying, it's run so long. Like this conversation was bound to come up, and I like the way they did it in the episode, because they gave a synopsis of the episode of the article that we shared, to where they just kind of found out about it, like, oh, this is who he's marrying, and it wasn't really to vilify or vindicate any side of it, but just a matter that, okay, this is happening, this is who Mr. Ratburn loves, so, you know, so they basically just put it on the table without really tipping the scales one way or another.
Right.
And I think that was an important piece of it. And then it's up to the home, when you shut the TV off, to kind of further the conversation, you know. And I think that's always the best thing with stuff like this. It's like you're gonna be raised by your influences on this, not the television, you know.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think kind of just transitioning into a topic that Byron has suggested for us in regards to just parents and being an example and just teaching our children.
Awesome.
We have this angry mother whose child is being bullied at school.
Yeah.
And she came to this meeting telling how she was going to throw these hands
at children.
No, well,
she
was like,
disqualified the kids
or over.
Yeah.
You know,
so
you can come get these. You can come get these hands if you want to continue to bully my daughter. What are your thoughts? Did she set a good example in that? What? How do you feel?
Well, that's kind of counterproductive to what she was trying to do in my book. It's like, okay, so you coming on site to
stop bullying?
Yeah, to stop bullying, but with bullying. Because you just came in and threatened parents. And it's like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? So you want to stop bullying by fighting, you know what I mean? Throwing these hands. Now, I think things like stuff like that, that's, to me, it show emotional intelligence, a lack thereof, you know what I'm saying, and a sense of not knowing how to assess a situation. I know she might have been frustrated with things that may have been going on with her child and stuff like that, but at the same time, you have to think about where you at, how is it happening, and thinking about a safe, peaceful way to stop it. You know what I'm saying? Because she could talk to parents, or the parents find out who the child is bullying her child or whatever, and talk peacefully. There's many other steps outside of just getting to throwing these hands. You know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of pointless, because if you do, you'll end up, going to jail.
Yeah, I was gonna say
you end up locked up, and what can you do for your child there?
What good is that?
Exactly.
Because the thing is, like, I could see where a lot of people, especially people in our generation or older, are just like, well, we went through with bullying, we fought our bullies, we stood up to our bullies. It's not all this nice, talk it out type stuff. But at the same time, there's certain things in our past that we don't want to carry over.
Yeah, we're supposed to do
better. So, first of all, I'm just surprised that the teacher allowed this threat to be carried out.
So that's the thing. So my wife works in the school, dude. So I'm let her comment.
Yeah, I need your comments on this. I need your comments on this.
Because I've been up to her office.
Right.
You can't get in that joint unless you got a realistic reason of when especially with the advent of school violence and all that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how did she even get in the place, in the classroom?
Probably through them hands.
Poor school secretary.
Wait. Just laid out by her desk.
It looked like, because I did see where this newscaster, a news reporter was interviewing her, and it sounds like the mom said that she'd gone to the school several times to address the situation and nothing was done. So I think she kind of reached in her defense as to
her perspective.
Just from that side, she had kind of reached the end of her rope as to dealing with the situation. Now, is that possibly, and if the teacher was cognizant, is that possibly why she sat back and was like,
she need to get what she needed to get said?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Well, it said the teacher was trying to get the help of security to come to the classroom.
She left the classroom.
I did see that.
Well, I mean, she did what she could, you know what I mean? But the thing that is just like, and that's too, like, if the teacher, if she has went down proper avenues in order to get help for her child and stuff like that, that is then on the responsibility of the school or the lack thereof in tapping into each one of their students' lives. But, as schools are run by state and state are funded by federal, it'd be hard to get those resources out to teachers, anybody, because you have so much stuff you have to worry about, and I'm not excusing it, but at the same time, it's very hard. You know what I'm saying? When you have a bunch of things already on your plate and they keep crowding it more and more and more, and you got 30 different lives with 30 different situations going on in each one of their lives, and it's just like being counselor, mother, father, whatever, and it gets hard, and I could see how it could not have been fixed. But you know what I mean, it's just the schools have to find a way to be better about this, because I feel like we live by old system in society. Like, we just haven't changed. It's like school is still being taught the same way school's been taught since the introduction of scholastic academia. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not changed. Your desk space towards the classroom, the teacher is sitting in rows as if you're in a manufacturing plant. You know what I mean? And you have to be quiet and all that stuff like that. You don't give kids proper avenues to even get their energy out most of the time, because they take away all the extracurriculars the kids can do. It just get tough, man.
But I mean, I just don't want us to discount the fact that we have a lot of stakeholders here, and not only do we have to focus on the schools and what they can do to improve in these situations, but going way back to home. Where are we having the parental involvement, the parental support in these situations? What are you telling your kid before they walk out at the door that they feel like when they get to school they can call another student names, or relentlessly call them names, or do things, or get physical? I mean, or what are you not enforcing, or what don't you know about your kid? So there are a lot of parts to the puzzle that in order for us to really resolve these issues, we've got to really get everyone involved. And
even to just what you were saying, I think just really being invested in what that student's environment is like, because a lot of the times it's not even just a conversation that is being had or not being had, it's just what they're experiencing through different adults that they're around, and they feel like that's normalized, that's something that's how you get your point across, that's how you are supposed to talk to people, and so until somebody actually steps in and be like, no, that's not how you talk to people, and kind of getting to the deeper issue, the deeper root of why do you act this way? Why are you the bully? And then also too, are we, taking the time to just be invested in our children's, like, I'm not saying our children, like I have a child, and the children's lives, and seeing what's going on, hey, how was your day? Don't let it be like, oh, it was good. No. Are you being bullied? Or like being specific about, different things, because this is very serious. And, I remember I binge watched Atlanta, the show created by Donald Glover. It's really good. If you want to go watch it. But anywho, there was this episode where
FUBU episode.
Yes, the FUBU episode, and basically, so this was Donald Glover's character when he was in high school, and so him and another guy had this FUBU shirt, and so they were trying to figure out which shirt was real. And so by the end of it all, it ended up being his shirt that was fake because he got it on sale at Marshall's, I think.
No, Goodwill.
Oh, Goodwill. And So the other person, was real, but the backstory behind him was that his parents just got a divorce, and he was already going through a tough time, and now he's being bullied by these people because they believe that he had the, fake boo-boo shirt, and then the next day, the principal comes into the classroom and said that he committed suicide. And this has happened in the news before, where young kids are being bullied, bullied in person, that goes to a point of, like, I think one of the stories was a child hung herself in the closet.
Yeah.
So it's like, is that detrimental? And I'm wondering if the school system is even that much aware of how much bullying is affecting kids today, to where, like, even just going back to the resource, not the resources being in the school, but like the resources to be able to distribute to the parents on how to even detect if your child is being bullied. Because a lot of times I feel like even just there was one of my friends, he's a school teacher in the kind of, it's kind of like close to Jonesboro area. And, a lot of these kids, like, they're taking care of themselves, you know? Like, the oldest kid is probably in 5th grade. Yeah. And, because, you come home, you just be ranting about stuff, and you just, like, get things off your chest. And I just remember, he was just saying, like, the environment there is just, there's no adults around. Like, these kids are literally raising themselves. And so, you have sometimes even the oldest is in high school. I mean, they're not even, adults themselves. So they're, like, growing up faster than they could ever even enjoy childhood or even enjoy themselves, because they have so much responsibility. So it's like, how do you even begin to even put resources in those type of situations, to where there isn't an adult present, or there is an adult present, but they're not present in mind enough to even want to address the issue. So
it's real, because schools can have all the programs they want, and all the, we have an in-service, y'all know, the school that we partner with at the church we go to, they have parenting class, because our elders teach the class. But if nobody comes and shows up, then it's like, so it's almost very challenging, and it's a relational thing where we have to almost go out to them. I've always learned, if you're trying to make an impact in the community, you can't wait for the community to come to you. You got to take it out to them. And it's a cultural thing. Y'all know the culture that we are talking about, and it's very challenging because they grew up in that environment, so then it just perpetuates itself. And we've worked with kids. We had a kid that just went off to the Navy, and the dude was taking care of 3 brothers and sisters living in a extended stay hotel from week to week. It's like, well, how is he getting the training that he needs, the character development, so that all this behavior we're talking about is not brought into the school system?
Right. Well, then your concern is then, okay, well, he's gone off. What happens to those younger siblings? Who's going to be? Because he may have been it as far as someone they could look up to, that parent figure, and if that person is now removed, because he's probably thinking, I'm going to make a better life for my siblings. I'm going to make sure they don't have to go through what I went through. But then now he's out of the home. So who's taking his place and filling that role? So.
Yeah. Because it's like, oftentimes, just like even me being the oldest, like a lot of times it's like my mom worked, my grandmother worked, my aunts worked, everybody worked. So we were pretty much 5 kids looking out for one another, and just trying to take care of one another. I was the one that had the instructions for the rest of the kids, what I mean? So I pretty much took on a parenting role, you know what I mean? So I was just like, hey, we got to do this, we got to clean up, we got to do all this, we got to make sure we take food out to be cooked, all that stuff like that. And then even like when you go to school, then you have that, and then you don't really have anybody to kind of like come home to and say, yo, this is what's going on with me. I got such going on. So you end up trying to kind of like take it on your own, you know what I mean? And just say, you know what, I handle it. You know what I mean? If I get beat up, I get beat up. If I don't, I don't. All I know, my mama told me not let nobody put their hands on my sister. And if I got to fight you, I don't care how big you is, you going to beat me up, and it is what it is. You know what I mean? And it ain't like the best thing, but just like a lot of times we end up in just like the neighborhood you talking about. All it is just like generations of unlearned people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So you just end up developing a curse for your family. And sometimes kids can get strengthened enough to come up out of it and run into like programs of FCA and all that stuff like that, that they actually can see some light in the world and find their way out. But a lot of times, man, kids end up just in the shadows, dealing with their own pain, insecurities, nobody telling them that there's a way out, and looking around and they see their peers and it's like, oh, we all together in this. We stuck. Like, it's no way out. You know what I mean? And oftentimes that's the case, man. And then, like, you want the parents to be able to do something, but they got to work, hustle, whatever they have to do to make sure it's a roof that they can continue to live on. And it kind of just like it's just a broken record. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I want to do better for my kids, but if I don't go to work, pay these bills, we won't even have step one completed, and let alone talk about mental health. I'm trying to keep our financial stability afloat. That's just hard, man. Like, I wish he had the answers, you know what I'm saying, or were able to put things in place in order to, you know, make changes. But I feel like everybody has to do their little bit. If you have something to offer somebody, offer it to them. If they take it, they take it. They don't, they don't. You know what I mean? That's and all you could do is just continue to be persistent in giving whatever you have. And if it lands, like I said, if it lands, it lands. If it don't, it don't. All you know, you pushing out positivity, offer a leg up and a way out. You know what I mean? Because just like, even like some of the kids down there in North Clay, all them kids you don't see baptized just came from people loving them and trying to show them a way out, giving them some hope, some faith, some ground to stand on. You know what I mean? So if you keep doing that, it may not catch everybody, but if you do one and then somebody throw the rope back over the wall, somebody else throw the rope back, just paying it forward and just keep pulling people over. You can't. It's not no guarantee you're gonna grab everybody, but if you hit 1, 2, 3, I feel like you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and we often forget, like in our development, that it wasn't like cookie cutter. Yeah. You know, we all come to it with our own needs and, you know, our own, you know, perspectives in life, even when we're young. And so sometimes it's somebody like a parent at home that can address that. And sometimes it's a mentor outside of the home, somebody you know. But I think the tendency as we advance in society is that, you know, there's this cookie cutter solution to solve a widespread problem, you know, but sometimes it's getting with the individual children and their influences and seeing what it will take to get them to their best possible them in their stage, in each stage. Instead of like, well, okay, if we do this for all the kids' problems will be solved. That it's not possible.
No.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and talking about that Miller Grove episode in Atlanta. Yeah, I went to Miller Grove Middle School, so that kind of hit really close to home for me.
Wow.
Yeah,
because perpetrating was a real thing.
Wow.
Not to make too light of it, but yeah, perpetrating was a real thing. Like, it was a big deal. You know, to mix your brands up, or to, you know, you wore Nikes with a Reebok shorts, like it. You got joned hard. Okay, brands were a big thing. Yeah. Like, I see kids now walking around. You got a little bit more eclectic license now. You know what I mean? Like,
you got creative license.
You do. To a certain extent, you do.
Yeah.
As opposed to when we were coming up, it was brands. You were a billboard.
Matching, you had to be matching and stuff like that.
And matching too. And you had to coordinate.
Yeah, you had to coordinate.
You know what I mean? You know, but yeah, I just think that's the thing. It's like, you know, as we advance as society, we always think like, okay, let's do it easy. There's an easier way to do this than when we had to do it. And that doesn't apply to everything.
Yeah, a lot of people mistake easy with proper way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They just like, because all the things that I learned in life have been through the hard way. And I kind of just like put in my head that, okay, if you always pick easy, you know what I'm saying, you will end up with a mountain of hard things that you'll have to run into later on in life. Mm-hmm. But it's better to just take that hard road that is given, develop yourself, and come out and keep on pushing. Even though things going to continue to get hard, you still have to develop the mindset in order to continue on. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people just like, oh, it's easy. It must be working. It's not. Yeah. It's just dirt under the rug. One day you're going to walk in, you're going to trip up over it, and you're going to find out like, oh, snap, I got a mess. And you got to clean it up. And it's going to hurt more on that side because you're like, man, what happened? I've been doing this for years. Now I got to turn around and fix all this stuff that I just let pass me by. Teaching kids about emotional intelligence, teaching them how to communicate properly with their parents and their teachers and stuff like that. All that stuff will go on the wayside, man. And then it'll end up in things we got now. Things have never been discussed. Because just like, I didn't run home and talk about bullying. You know what I mean? I either learned how to talk junk, you know what I'm saying? Because if you think you're going to jump on me, it's a wrap.
Right.
I'm telling you, go home to your mama crying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yep, absolutely.
But you know what I'm saying? It came through. That's all I had. I was like, I'm going to be good at this, or either I'm going to just be in tears all the time. So I learned how not to be in tears no more. Okay, you pointing out an imperfection in me, I pointed out 5 in you.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? And your mama.
Okay. I am done.
See, that's when mama comes in. The cycle. No, going back to what something Darius and Mella said. I mean, even talking about the episode of that show, you know, the suicide rate is ever growing, and you know, because of bullying. Yeah. So one of the things in that interview that she had, the mom said that when her daughter got out of she was taking her to school, she was getting ready to let her out of the car, and the girl didn't want to get out of the car, and she said, you know, I could just kill myself. So for any mom, you're going in fear mode. So I'm not defending her. I don't know what her mindset is, but I know as a parent, there's some things that they can say to me, and I know he knows, that will trigger me. Yeah. You know, I try not to react or overreact in front of them, but behind closed doors, I'm like, Ed, look, this just happened. What we gonna do? You know, and Brent had a situation like that, and I was, you know, sending off the emails every night. But you all you know is that I am responsible for this child. I have to protect them at all costs, especially when they say things to the extent of, this is making me feel like I want to hurt myself.
Yeah. So here's a question I have for the group. So Steve talked about when we were coming through some of the challenges that we had. I was a victim of bullying. Yeah. Okay. You know, young lady I was dating, the bully in school wanted to date her. And so he felt like, well, I'm going to bully Ed and then take his girlfriend. And I was bullied. Picked at, you know, all kind of names. And it doesn't seem like our generation talked about hurting ourselves, or maybe it wasn't as publicized. I don't know, but I'm bringing up the conversation of, well, what has now come to pass where when bullying does take place and it gets, you know, a little bit past, you know, playing the dozens with each other, to our children wanting to say, I want to take my life.
Well, real life, you know what I'm saying, in the 5th grade, I tried to kill myself. You know what I'm saying? Just because that simple fact. You know what I'm saying? Because it got to the point where I was just like, yo, life already stressful enough, and we living in poverty right now. You know what I mean? I got to deal with this, and now I have to go to school and deal with everybody else. And then I just felt like nobody liked me. So I was just like, Bubba, I don't want to be here no more. I ain't got to be here no more. And I remember, you know what I'm saying, like, one day, it was in the summer. It was probably about 2 or 3 weeks before my birthday. And I was just in the bathroom with a knife to my neck, like, I'm going to end it. And all of a sudden, like, I was just, like, praying to myself. I was just like, man, God, if you don't want me to do this, you better send somebody in here to stop me. And all of a sudden, my younger sister busted in the bathroom, and she broke down crying because she, you know, reacted to seeing her brother, you know what I'm saying, ready to kill himself. You know what I'm saying? And that was probably one of the hardest times of my life because I just didn't know what to do. And then, you know what I'm saying, like, when you have people that don't quite, you know what I'm saying, understand how to handle it, all they know is just like, you better never do that again. You know what I'm saying? It didn't really make it better for me. It's just like, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? You even mad at me? I still want to kill myself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? Like, but I ended up having to go through counseling, like, shoot, for about a whole year. Because I had so many things that was, like, compressed, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't know it, didn't think about it, because just like even I told y'all before, like, you know what I mean? Like, I lost a lot of friends in just sporadic deaths in elementary school. Like, my best friend in kindergarten died of meningitis. All of a sudden, didn't know he had it. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, he got in a fight, hit his head, and he never woke up. You know what I mean? And just a few other friends, man, it just left. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I just didn't know how to mourn it or anything like that. And then still had real life going on, the bullying going on, all that stuff like that. And it just kind of compounded. And I was just breaking. You know what I'm saying? And people just trying to move me around, and I know how grown people talk. Like, people don't remember, but a lot of times when they're having discussions, I was moving through the house. They probably thought I was asleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, but things were going on, and I was just like, I guess I'm the crazy kid. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? It just ended up being like a big thing, and, you know, nobody don't know how to handle it because nobody in the South didn't know how to handle it like that. You either sane or you ain't. You know what I mean? And as long as you ain't eating boogers and that, we can deal with you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, it was a hard time for me. And I still think about those days sometimes. And I just like, I remember the summer of 6th grade, I went to my father's house, you know what I'm saying, for the first time in a long time. And I was just like, I don't know, I just changed when I got back. You know what I mean? Like, I got back, I was like angry. You know what I mean? And I fought so much. Like, I was just like, oh my goodness. I was fighting everybody that looked at me crazy because I was pent up and I ain't had nothing to release it to. Counseling was helping a little, but it's just like, yo, you giving me a Band-Aid, and then I have to go back out in the world, somebody ripping it off. You know what I mean? So I'm just coming in here to get this hug just to walk out the door to get slapped again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was hard.
Yeah, I think too, just kind of relate to what Darius said and answering your question. I was bullied in high school a lot. It was mostly by what I wore, my hair, like, it had the best hairstyles. But it's on top of that, like, even the best friend that I had at the time, we were close, and then like we split apart because of something petty. I'm sure it was something petty. I don't remember exactly what it was. But she like created this clique that would pick on me every single day at the bus stop. And like, just even going back, like, my teen years were probably the roughest years of my life. Just going through different traumatic experiences, even starting at the age of 7, not really being open about that, not even having the safe space to be able to share those things. I think that was one of the biggest things that kind of led me to those thoughts several times. And when you feel like you're not introduced to other resources or other solutions, killing yourself seems like to be the best option. Yeah. Because then I won't have to deal with it. Y'all won't have to deal with me. Y'all don't have to worry about, picking on anybody else. And then, and for the episode that I was saying earlier, like, we don't know what people are going through.
Nope.
And, but I think what hurt the most is that my best friend knew what I was going through and still chose to bully me and get other people to join her in doing that. And so in that sense, it's like, you know me, you know what I'm going through, but you still choose to put me down and make me feel less than. And so, like I said, I think everything compounded, like, Darius was saying, but since there was no other solution provided, 1, 2, and there was, even outside of that, there was no safe space to even share this information that I was going through these things, that people are at least aware. My only option is that I'm just gonna kill myself, because that seems like the best option. That way everybody is happy and I'm out of the way, And, thank God I'm not. I'm here.
Amen.
But, I feel like that what drove me to those places. Not just even bullying, but just my environment and, wanting to have somebody to confide in and don't. There was a lot of things that happened to me as a child, and I feel like if I had the safe space to be able to share those things and speak and be open, I would have been on my healing process then. But because those spaces weren't created, it's like, okay, I waited till, my adulthood and I'm going through all these issues. Now I'm talking about every traumatic experience that I've had and really trying to just have the patience and the grace on myself to be able to get through those so I can even restore my relationship with God. Because all those different experiences, I easily correlate that with God. And I'm like, God is completely bigger than the things I've experienced, but because they're so real to me and they happen so consistently, it's so easy for me to put that on God. And so it's just a process, and now that I have the resources, I am willing to be able to take those resources, so there's another way out other than taking myself out.
Yeah.
And my bullying experience was a bit different in just how I took it. Just because of the way I was born. I was born diagnosed with autism. So you are very in touch with what a lot of people are telling you what you cannot do or what you will not do. And some of those things, I end up overcoming it. Some things I don't, I was a real emotional kid, real sensitive kid. And so as I got to like kindergarten, first grade, I was just really self-conscious. I was just really like, if anybody pick out me for any little thing, I just kind of go into a shell or whatever. But then when it got into like 4th and 5th grade, where you get into that level of bullying, when people are, clothes, hairstyles, how you look, stuff like that, my mentality was just like, well, I don't want to give them the satisfaction of me being absent. Like, I had perfect attendance from 5th grade to 10th grade because I was just like, I'm not gonna give them the satisfaction of me not being there. I'm gonna keep showing up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like a thing of where I got angry. I mean, I got upset, but it was just like, I just thought it was unfair. It's like, well, I should be able to exist.
Right.
So I was just fighting for my space a little bit. I mean, I wasn't overly outgoing with it, you know what I mean? Because again, I was sensitive, but at the end of the day, when it got to my point, I was just like, I should be able to just have peace. You know what I mean? So, I mean, really, I go to school sick, like, it was crazy. Like, it was a long time where I didn't miss a day of school because I was just like, if I'm gone, I give them what they want. You know what I mean? Like, so that was just my mentality. And then the thing is, like, it didn't really go to high school because the damage is done by then. Like, nobody's checking for me in high school. Everybody's doing their own thing, but I'm still thinking that they're, like, gonna pick on me or going to pick on me for this. So I just kind of shelled up because I didn't want any drama, so I just stayed to myself. You know what I mean? Instead of, like, really opening up and a little more. So it was kind of that way where it was kind of like an elephant attached to a boulder sort of thing. When the baby elephant's attached to a boulder, that baby elephant cannot move the boulder. But when it's big and strong, it could fling that boulder like a pebble, but it doesn't know.
Yeah.
So that was just my experience.
Yeah. Super emotional time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's funny, that's I'm in a middle school now, but when I was in an elementary school, one of the activities that I did with my kids was I had an outline of a boy or a girl, depending on what the kid was. And I would say, hey, you can say anything you want to them. They would write. I would say, of course, it's paper, so you're going to have to write it. So they would write mean things, and I was like, just do whatever you can to hurt them. And they would ball it up, tear it apart. And I was like, okay. So now you realize what you did probably wasn't very nice. And they would, oh, yeah, that wasn't very nice. I'm like, okay, now fix it. And even though they would sit there, Miss Jackson, can I borrow some tape? I'm like, sure, get the tape. And they're trying to put it back together. I'm like, it's still not going to look the way it was when I gave it to you. It's not going to be that clean, pretty piece of paper. And so, you know, even those kids who are provided, you know, being the bullies, they need to understand that, yeah, you can come back later in high school because now you're off doing your own thing and say, oh, man, I'm sorry I did that to you, Darius. But the damage is done at that point, you know. So, you can say, I'm sorry, Darius might, you know, accept your apology. But you've created possibly an insecurity or a hurt for Darius that is not going to just go away because you apologize or you tried to fix it.
Yeah.
So, don't do it in the first place.
That's good. Right. I'm have to try that activity.
Yeah. Good activities. I really talk a lot. Smith and them just paddle people.
Paddling! Wow.
Yeah, that's how old I am.
Corporate
punishment was still a thing.
Did I read my thing to you that my corporal punishment form?
Yeah.
When I was in first grade.
There was a form?
Yes.
I'm
going to look it up.
So your parents
had to sign off.
Now you could get a paddling.
I mean, it was definitely approved because my grandmother was the head custodian at the time, and so she would come in the office with me just to make sure that it actually happens. So it was definitely approved. But yeah, I got a corporal punishment form, and I'm gonna try to find it because it was hilarious. And I'm like, that sounds like me. It sounds like something I would have done. But anyways, y'all can fill the space with something else.
Yes. All right. As we, just a reminder to listen to this podcast on our various platforms. We're on Anchor.fm, which puts it out to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and the like. Spotify. Yes, that's a big one. That's a big one. Podbean, yes, for all you Path folks that love the Podbean, you know, once you're done with one of Angel or Jazz or Mike's sermons, you get that word over.
Come get some laughter, man.
Yes.
Depending on how you doing spiritually, that sermon might have hit different for you. You might be in the dark room contemplating on what you've been doing with your life. Come on over to Convrs8, and we'll make you feel a little bit better about yourself before you go back to self-actualizing and analyzing and get your life together, get back in the road on the path.
And of course, we're right here on YouTube for the video portion. You know, when we come together as Convrs8.
Exactly.
Since now we're like two separate podcasts now coming together.
If you want to see my mama's podcast. First son on live and in TV.
So yes, we're right here. We got some back episodes for you. If you're new to the program, just all the way back to episode 22 from last season. It's
exactly.
On YouTube.
So your kids can listen to it because we don't cuss on here.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right. We're trying to keep that family check.
Family
time.
Everybody come sit around the campfire in a beach spot and listen to us.
You know, so
we have kids in the audience today.
Exactly.
Yes, in studio.
We have the Jacksons in the background doing various things on telephones and listening to us and like, man, these grown folk is tripping.
And actually, today makes a year of me actually being a guest.
Who cares?
Oh my gosh, that was. Let me see your face.
WWJD.
Anyways, a year from today. I'm in a year from yesterday. I'm in a year from
a year ago. Now. A year ago today, this is Mella's first time on our podcast.
Yes.
She has now become a resident member of Convrs8. Yes. She's been continuing, and now she has her own podcast.
I do.
Talking to y'all young single ladies out here in the streets to get your spiritual relationship vitamin from Jesus, from Mella G.
Yes, mind your own. Yes, talking about the balance of taking care of yourself and serving others, growing in your vulnerability while seeking God's love.
That's awesome.
And equal time, equal representation. Darius and
Me and
myself.
Steve.
We have a podcast bros, where we got to get into our man space or man caves, talk about just
man
like our
stuff, anything we think about.
Stuff. Right.
And then all of a sudden we talk about something serious. Last week's topic was insecurity.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
okay. Relinquish your
that out.
insecurities. Security.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
What y'all trying to do? Y'all trying to...
We gotta make sure the men folk take care of our head while you take care of the women folk.
Plus, it's like, you know, it satisfies our rabbit trail itch.
Yeah, because
No Mela to
the
stop
first
us.
45 minutes we just
Yeah,
do.
it was
Going
a
down
lot.
the hole. Huh?
We talk about sports.
You think they coming up,
everything.
but they go back down.
And then we'll hit you with the serious stuff. See, we want to make you feel comfortable first, and then we make you think about yourself and be like, you know what? What insecurities do I have that is altering my life in relationship with Jesus? Why can't I make that next step in my life?
Come
Well,
on.
We're just sharing our experience.
Sharing out through our own shared experiences. You know what I'm saying?
So it sounds like we're just missing a married podcast.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah,
What?
we-
Producer credit. Producer credit.
What?
Cameras on you
and
now.
look at you like I'm already too busy.
I got enough jobs.
I'll fit that in the schedule.
Get somebody else. I got a lot of things going on here. I got my 4-5 hats.
So while we were filling the space, I found my Corporal Punish reporting form from first
You actually
grade.
kept that.
My mother kept it, and she
Yeah,
put it
okay.
in this book where it has all the different grades from K to 12, and you can put like all your report cards and like papers and stuff in that. So shout out to you, Mom. She's watching actually. Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Hey,
So it says reason for the punishment. Pamela moved her clip all the way through the discipline chart today. She is constantly out of her desk and talking. The final behavior came when Pamela lied about doing a worksheet and then said she didn't do it.
Why was I like, who is Pamela?
Me.
Mela.
Yes.
Now you get it, Mela.
Yeah.
Right. No. So, efforts made the disciplined student by other means. This is the subtitles. Pamela's behavior has been tolerated all year. I have talked with her grandmother.
It'd be funny. It was just September when she.
With whom Pamela lives with. I have spoken with her mother. She has stayed in at recess many days. She has lost other privileges such as parties. Yes, I always went to the kindergarten parties. When we had parties, I was never at a first grade party. I was always with kindergarten. Number of licks, 1.
Wow.
One pop.
Yeah.
Now,
one little
did
pop.
they use hand or
No,
was
they
it
used a paddle.
a paddle?
It
Is that
hurt
what
so
the
bad.
standard was?
I remember
back then?
Mr.
Yeah,
Revere's
It hurt
paddle
so
and
bad.
Mr. Carey's paddle. Mr. Carey's paddle had 3 holes in it, so when he was swinging
Ooh!
it, was like a whistle. You know what I'm saying?
It's auditory and sensory.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think.
talking about like that thing. You would hear that thing go, you be like, ah! Boy, that go hit you, pop! You like, ah, and man,
But
Mr.
that is some engineering,
Exactly.
right
Yes.
there,
Him
because
and
the
Mr.
holes
Carey-
are going
Mr.
to
Carey-
go deeper. You know what
Exactly.
I mean?
That's
And
terrible.
Mr. Revere's joint, he
Terrible.
called his the silver bullet. You know,
See,
what I'm
that's
saying?
not-
They used to give it names.
Exactly.
That used to really bother me, man. It's like, come on, man.
Why
gotta
you
give it a
doing
name,
this? You know what I'm saying? Like you giving names to a tool that's gonna be used to destroy my behind. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, and Mr. Carey like a 6'6" ex-linebacker. or
No,
something.
not an ex-linebacker.
Dude, this dude, man, Mr. Carey was huge.
Oh, God.
That's all I can say.
There's no escape. He's got
That
the
joker-
reach on
That
him.
joker
Like,
forearms look like you put both of your arms together. You know what I'm saying? Like
you try to run, it's
I'm
like,
talking about,
no.
man, he used to paddle people, man. I guarantee you that when he paddled me, that was the last time I ever got paddled. Ever. Because
Yeah.
I ain't want to have that happen to me again.
Yep, my last time was actually in 2nd grade, and I moved to a different school. And I remember, I know what I was doing. I was talking to class. And so they sent me to the principal's office, and they took me back to the classroom, and they paddled me outside. It was 2 licks. After the 2nd lick, I turned around and said, I will never do this again. I will never do this again. Tell me why. I was like, I transitioned to the front of the classroom. I always sat in the front. I made all the president's list, the book, the top book reader. I was like, I completely changed my life that day. I was like, I am not getting another paddling. I'm not. I can't do it. I have all my awards. My mama say all of my awards from my AR reading and, you know, like the president's list and top of the class, like everything. Yeah. All my report cards, all my grades went up.
We even had paddling in high school.
Really?
Yeah, because it was.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, we did. Like, because I remember plenty of time where I was like, yo, give me 5 licks. I ain't going to in-house.
Oh,
I'm not gonna because I was in there with Mr. Rowland. I was just like, come on, Mr. Rowland, man, just give me these 5 licks, man. I'm not going in that room, yo. Wow. I promise you I won't come back to school.
That is so
like, I'm not, dude, that room was
like a little
that let me know I don't
I hated
that
ISS.
let me know I was just like,
I did one day.
We sat in cubicles that the whole room was white, by the way. They made sure it was white from ceiling to floor. When you walk back outside to go to your bus, you got a white halo around your eye because all you've been looking at is white. I hated that place.
That's
man.
some 4 Horsemen.
Yo, I'm
type
telling
stuff.
you, they tortured us in Lee County High School.
Psychological warfare.
Yo,
like,
man,
all
I'm
white
telling you,
room.
like, yo, man, it was just like we was in prison doing homework. You know what I mean? Like, I hated
This is
that
so
place.
true.
I just went in the middle row like, hey, man, how many leaks you got to give me? I'll take it. Just don't send me back to in-house, man. I can't go back in there. I'll burn it down. And Mr. Rowland was like, all right, man, it'll be 10 licks. I said, run them.
I'm ready.
I stood up at the desk and put my hands on, like, go ahead and get what you got to get. I'm not going there again. That place almost broke me, and it was just 5 days. And you had to eat lunch by yourself.
Yeah, you do in your little cubicle.
Yeah, man, you just.
So here's the thing, though, Darius. Did your licks deter your behavior?
Ooh.
All right, well.
Come on now.
Let's talk about that.
Come on,
you know what I'm saying? Because I had came into my own in high school. So it deterred me for about 2 months.
2 months.
So if I get a paddling in September, I'll be good to January. You know what I'm saying? But after that, yeah, I'll be back. You know what I'm saying? So I got about 20 licks a year. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's terrible.
You know what I mean? Because teachers kept trying to tell me I was wrong when I was right. Because I also was a smart aleck. And lifetime,
there, brother.
And you know what I'm saying?
And I was right.
And I was right because they hate to get corrected. Because a lot of times I was right, especially science. I was just like, hey, I know what I'm talking about. I don't read this whole book. You know what I mean? You ain't got nothing to teach me.
Oh, okay.
Because I made hundreds on all my exams, man. I was like, I know this stuff, man. I read the book already. I don't really need to be in your classroom, man.
The only reason why I made 100s on my assignment in science is because our assigned teacher was out on he was on leave for the entire year, so we had a sub and he gave us all the answers. Every worksheet and test.
Man, Mr. McKinnon breath smell like homeless shoes.
How do you know what
I was getting ready to say
You keep trapping yourself in these analogies.
Hey man, I don't care. I'm pretty sure it smells awful because if you ever sat beside one on Martin Station downtown when there used to be an underground.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
You get your fair experience of smells down there.
That's a direct.
That's a direct uppercut to your nasal passage.
Hopefully it smells better since they're trying to renovate it.
Yeah, they finna turn it into a $1,500 a month 1-bedroom
right,
place.
basically.
That's such a shame.
Terrible.
I miss them chicken wings down there, man. I used to just go down there for the chicken wings.
So right.
And buy me an oversized Mitchell & Ness jersey. You know what I'm saying? That's back when the big jerseys was cool. You know what I'm saying? You had to. Yeah, we suffered back then. We wore hard clothes.
Oh.
I look at a lot of my old pictures. It's like, wow.
Early 2000s.
That's everybody.
It's a pit of fashion.
I had like all kind of different color. I was wearing
my mother in 5th grade put me in a little prairie dress with the curl bang.
Oh my God.
That picture would never be released anywhere.
Okay.
It will actually be burnt when I find it
I pay you
prairie dress?
Yes, it was like a dress that had all these different patterns
Of course.
that was patched together.
Oh, so you look like a
And
couch.
you know those little frilly bits?
I'm sorry, that was funny.
Somebody came to you when you was in Beirut and just put some plastic over you. Like, oh, I thought you was a chair.
That's cultural.
Took it. Russell says, "What up, everybody?"
What's up?
Hey.
What's up?
I know we got the earlier time. We're
Yeah,
throwing you
I'm
off
about
a
to
little
say
bit,
we throwing you off a
but we're
little
trying to
bit,
do better by the world.
Yeah, we got to do better. We got to commercial, do some more
That's
commercials.
my man
and
Russell.
stuff.
Russell's preaching the word today with us, man.
Oh,
Okay.
Word.
Oh,
Him and his wife Jasmine. Come on.
Okay, now.
Come on with it.
Better.
Yeah, I mean.
Deacon and Deaconess.
Yes.
Y'all out here doing that work. Man.
So we have the
boy.
Jacksons here with us today.
Yeah. Dr. Jackson
Yes.
and Mrs. Tasha Jackson.
No, just,
I got something to say.
I do always have something to say, Darius. This is
We're
not new.
talking to these people.
We're talking to these people as well.
Give Steve the mic.
Okay.
Yes, the Jackson. Just the camera.
Yeah.
Dr. Ed and Mrs. Tasha Jackson.
Some of the coolest people in our congregation.
Yes, absolutely. So you, Dr. Ed, are a physician. That's why we keep on calling you doctor.
Yes.
It's
That
not
is
like
correct.
Dr. Dre that either is.
Oh, I wish I had his.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Situation.
He got some bars, right?
The only person that got doctor in front of his name ain't worked on nobody.
So you, sir, are a physician. So get into that. Like, who are you currently serving in your capacity?
So I'm an orthopedic surgeon with Emory Department of Orthopedic Surgery in the Division of Sports Medicine. I am the director of sports medicine at Grady Memorial Hospital.
Grady baby. I'm a Grady baby.
Oh, hey, come on, Grady.
Shout out Grady.
I am one of the team orthopedists for Georgia Tech Athletic Department. Head team orthopedist for Morehouse Athletic Department. Served several different high schools on the south side of town in South Fulton. And also the Morehouse School of Medicine Director of Orthopedic Education.
So, just say that you work everywhere.
Yeah.
You're like
You work everywhere.
you're like Dr. James
I've
Andrews.
been-
Like you just do on Alabama and Auburn. You're on both sidelines. You're just like they're both.
It's like, hey, you know what?
Saturdays are interesting for me in the fall.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. So, how do you work on managing all that?
So, I mean, that's just my professional side.
Yeah.
As y'all know, we also do some ministry things
Yes,
as
we
well.
do.
Yeah.
So, you know, it requires a very, very...
Good wife. Good wife.
You better insert yourself.
You was gonna say that anyway.
Exactly.
I just went
You
ahead.
know what I mean?
We'll put that on the front end, right? I'm going to say God first.
Yes.
My relationship with God, but
And the
yes,
next part.
my wife.
Yeah.
My wife.
My wife. She definitely keeps me balanced. I can definitely run with the best of them. I can do a lot of things and get involved in a lot of things, but my wife keeps me balanced and keeps me challenged of what are the priorities, you know, that God has put in my life, and that starts with him first, her second, the kids third, and then our church is kind of how I flow. And then my job, obviously, you know, it becomes well, I don't try to compartmentalize, you know, my life. You know, I think who we are as Christians is who we are everywhere we go. And I will have to say practically all those things that I mentioned, I'm on teams of all those things.
Yeah.
So I'm not the only guy or person doing all of that. Even from a professional standpoint, i.e. Georgia Tech, there's like 5-6 doctors at Georgia Tech where we all do our role and work together. And then even on the ministry side, I'm a part of a team of, you know, people that we work with on a ministry team at different levels. So It's being a team player, but it's also having boundaries, knowing when to say no, and that being okay with saying no.
Yeah, yeah. So, Tasha, what do you do?
I am a school counselor, middle school counselor.
Oh, so you help all the young tender-headed children learn about themselves.
They try to figure it out.
Help them figure it out.
And I'd say that's a crucial precipice for somebody going into what they're gonna do in high school and beyond and stuff like that. So as a counselor, like in middle school, what processes are you preparing the kids for, like going forward, like academically?
Mm-hmm. Well, in my school, we're divided up by grade level. So I'm the 8th grade counselor. So I'm just helping students with that transit. Oh yeah, finish them off, send them on. Helping them with that transition from middle school to high school, and not only academically but emotionally. A lot of them, need that year of support and maturing to kind of help prepare them, because high school is a different beast, and so they definitely need to understand that the transition is real, and not only preparing them, preparing the parents, because it's going to be definitely a change for the whole family, the child and the parents. So, but it's been good. This is 22 years in education.
Come on.
Yes.
So I want to last at 5.
So you've been doing this 22 years. I remember when middle school was like just 7th and 8th grade, and then they added 6th grade into the mix.
Right.
How old you is?
Okay.
I think it's different in different
regions.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
Because I'm old enough to where there was no middle school. Like, I remember 7th graders being in elementary school. That was a mess. Because and 8th graders going to high school. That was a mess.
Yeah, I was in the 8th grade. I was considered high school.
Really?
You ain't on the microphone.
I know.
Oh, okay.
But I'm talking to the mic like I told you I was going to earlier.
Got something else going on.
Yeah. Come on, Steve. Keep us going, bro.
But yeah, I do remember that. And then they opened more middle schools when it was just 7th and 8th grade. Then they added 6th grade into the mix. So, how is that different? Has that really benefited like the younger people to be there, or like that? Or that the fact that you're in middle school, you get them in 8th grade, so then they're there for 3 years instead of just 2. So how beneficial has that been? I've always wanted to ask.
I think it's good because you got to think that age range, they're dealing with a lot, socially, emotionally, hormonally, and just everything is going on. So I think to have them contained in one building, but just to have them in a building where you have staff members and support staff that understand that they're dealing with all these emotional changes and everything is going on and these challenges socially nowadays, that I think it's good because we're there to support them through all of that. And then allowing them to mature into young adults, because you got to think in the elementary setting, it's a lot more touchy-feely, just going. Last year I was in elementary and I was going at 100 all day.
Yeah. And
so now I can actually chill a little bit and at the same time meet their needs. But I think it's good. I think it's needed just to meet the challenges that they're facing at that age range in their life. It's totally different. It's not as, they can't handle it as maturely as a high schooler can, and then you don't need to water it down as you would with the elementary students. So I think they need their own space.
Right. All right. So back to the doctor. You said you don't compartmentalize your life, so you pretty much just say, I live my life as I live my life. You know what I mean? So how is that? How do you do that? Because I know, like, oftentimes, even for myself, I know, like, sometimes I be like, this is work me, and this is Christian me. You know what I mean? And kind of like separating the two, but not actually like living life saying, okay, I am Christian me at work and stuff like that.
So one of the things I had a conviction about, it started with who helped me in my walk with God 7 years ago when Tasha and I became Christians. he was a physician, and so he led one of the churches in Tallahassee, and so I took a lot of my cues from him and how he interwoven his lifestyle as a Christian into his job.
Right.
And it starts with, number one, the character traits of a Christian, right? Treating your patients, patients are easy, right? Because you want the business, but treating your staff in an appropriate manner, right? Treating your colleagues, so other physicians and other healthcare providers, like a Christian should treat people with humility.
Right.
Number one. Number two, making my workplace my ministry of where I'm trying to reach people and be able to share with people what Jesus has done for me.
Right.
And so as a physician, I do have a platform because I have a constant audience, my patients and then the staff that I work with. And people will come one of two ways. They will just see my life and they will say, well, Dr. Jackson, what's so different about you versus another person, right?
Right.
And then my wife does a great job of that, where people will come to her just based off how she lives her life. The other way is I actually talk to my patients about life.
Right.
And I'll ask them, hey, how was your weekend? What did you do? And the natural response is, well, Doctor, what did you do this weekend?
Yeah.
And then I share what we do as Christians. And they're like, wow, you're really involved in your church.
Right.
And I'm like, yes, I am. I also, would you like to, come out and fellowship, with us?
Right.
When I operate on patients, I don't know percentages, but as the Spirit moves me, I pray with my patients before I operate on them. And that includes their family members, the patient, the nurses hear that. And so 2 weeks ago, we close our eyes to pray. I open my eyes. There are 10 people surrounding us, joining in with the prayer.
Right.
And that's different
Yeah.
in our society.
Yeah.
Right. That's not natural.
Right.
And so that gets wind and it gets in the community of where I'm at. So Grady, Emory, and then people start talking and buzzing, and next thing you know, oh, well, Jackson, he's a minister at his church.
Yeah.
Oh wow, well now I got this problem. I want to leave this office. I'm gonna go talk to Dr. Jackson because I'm struggling.
Right.
And so that's how it becomes just a part of who I am while I'm serving medically, but also ministering to people, as God sees fit.
That's
so
man, that's good. That's good. Miller.
And
go ahead. I thought Miller had some on her mind. I'm not going to speak without a mic again.
I did have something.
Go ahead. Might be along the lines I was going to ask.
Leave me alone.
The thorn doesn't.
No, I'm just listening to everything that you said. I think that's something that I kind of realized with just the different gifts and talents that God has given me too, and just the platform that He's given all of us is to preach His gospel and share His gospel with the gifts He has given us. And I think one of the biggest things that I'm so grateful that God took me the process through with these last couple of months is help me understand my why. Because I have a lot of gifts and talents, as you all know, and a lot of times, honestly, it can be very overwhelming. Especially at a church service, because I'm piano player to social media to the video, photo. I mean, grateful for Russell. Thank you, Russell.
There you go, brother Russell.
For helping out in that capacity and taking photography and just really getting excellent and better at that. But it definitely takes a team. A team of people who are willing to take the initiative as well. But I think also too for me learning how to kind of get that going. Having a clear vision. Not just for how God wants to operate in His kingdom, because I think over the weekend, I think what God really revealed to me was that even through visuals, I was trying to figure out how do I share the gospel with film and with photos.
Right.
And graphic design and all these different things. And I was reading in Titus chapter 2, and it was talking about like making the gospel attractive. And I'm like, it's so intentional, like with the color scheme and the words that you use, and with the the intentionality behind the shot and the message and what are you trying to get across. Not to just put something together that looks good, but what is the message? Because I could have a bunch of images that look good together, but if there's no meaning behind it, it's just a bunch of images that were clipped together. Yeah. And, it just took the media ministry in my mind and the vision for it to a completely different level. Because I am making this event attractive enough for people who don't even know Christ, that has this event necessarily has nothing to do to Christ in regards to what the content is, but when you get there, this is where we're going to meet you. We meet you where you are.
Come on.
Look at with the advertising. It could have been an ad right.
I'm just going to listen back to it and make something.
Exactly. You ain't get your clip.
But yeah, like you were saying, like this is your ministry, and the culture that you are building within that environment is so much more than just operating. It's so much more than just being able to use your gifts effectively, but the people that you're impacting around you, because it's deeper than just being able to do this skill. Like this is what God has given me, and my way to give back is to share His life with those around me so they can have that same relationship that I'm experiencing as well. So I think that's like, I feel like that's a space that I'm entering into, and understanding that the things that I do is my ministry, and this is the way that I'm making the gospel attractive to those people who are disciples and continue to striving to grow in their relationship with God, and those that don't even know God or are seeking after God, that needs a space to be able to, pour out and, pour into somebody what's going on so they can be met, and with the scriptures, and really be able to, grow in their relationship with God in that way, in that capacity.
Amen.
So, Mrs. Tasha, so having a husband who does a lot of stuff, and then you have the family dynamic, you have your own career, which you have had for 22 years. What is involved? How have you evolved as far as being a support system for him? Like, what is your approach to that?
That's one thing that we struggled with initially when we became disciples, but I think we finally found a balance or a good place. And mainly for us, it's right now with the kids where they are in their stage of life, I let him go. I let him go at 100, and he knows that home is taken care of.
Right.
And we almost embrace it like each, even though we're together, we each have our season. And I think he's in that season where he's, he's on fire, he's reaching out, he's going, and not that I'm not doing those things, but I'm doing it at a much slower pace, because at the same time, I want to make sure our kids are good.
Right.
And so we realize all the time that, there's a time when our roles reverse, where I go out and he's got the kids, or we realize that it may be a season where, they're older, they're more independent, and then we get out there and we can conquer the world together.
Oh, come on.
But yeah, so it's just understanding your spouse's passion, what they need, and just being willing to do whatever you can to support them. And so it's worked out well, especially with his job in the earlier years. With the kids, we had a conversation. It was honest up front. He was like, babe, you're it. You got the kids. You take care of them, because it was overnight calls, working 24 hours. Yeah. And so I embraced that. And so now, he's, just spending a lot more time with them, because the demands of the job aren't like they were before. So it's been a lot better, but it's good. It's just knowing your spouse and having the conversations and being willing to say, hey, let me help you. Let me take this off your plate so that you can do what you feel compelled to do or what's on your heart.
One of the mistakes I made in doing that is I saw other people's lives that were, whether busy with a secular job and trying to do ministry, or just for their ministry, and I tried to make our life look like their life, and tried to make my wife look like their wife.
That didn't go over well.
And that did not go over well.
I was about to say, I know.
She had the pause ready.
And so just like Tasha said, understanding your spouse and having those open conversations, and the term I like is capacity of the season that you're in.
Right.
And so I just realized my capacity was different than her capacity, but we still have to run that race together. You know, Angel used that term, the 3-legged race.
Yeah.
Right. So we got to be able to talk and compromise and meet in the middle about what that looks like. And so I can't be an absentee dad because I got, a football game, and then I want to go do ministry and study the Bible with somebody. I got to be there for Kennedy and Grant, primarily, and figure that out. So, there's only 24 hours in a day, and so that's where the boundaries come in, and that's where the teamwork comes in, where everybody does their part.
Yeah, because I know, even for myself, like, now I feel like, I know this may sound bad, you know what I'm saying, but as long as I've been a disciple, this is the most I've ever done. It just seems like, I don't know, it just seems like God has just like been putting on my heart to just serve, and I just want to serve in every capacity it is. But sometimes I feel like, man, I think I saw my wife the other day, you know what I mean? And then I'll be like, dang, I might need to check in at home and make sure she's alive and let her know I'm alive. And stuff like that, because like you wanna do, what I'm saying, all you can, because you feel that fire inside of you and you want to put it to work, you know what I mean? But at the same time, you be like, dang, man, I don't know, like when you being new at something, you just you want to do it the best you can, and you be like, I'm gonna use this energy as long as it's here, and then if I wait till it burn out, but then like trying to find out a way to make a slow burning flame that I can keep doing what I'm doing, but also take care of the house. I can warm up ministry and I can warm up my own home at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Because that's like been the biggest thing for me, and I'm just like, it's just like, man, I leave early, I get home late and stuff like that, and then I'll be like, oh man, I really haven't spent any time. It's like hard. Sometimes it'd be like it's a blur to me. Sometimes like and then we'll have those hard talks, and then I'll be like, well, you know what I'm saying? I'm out here in these streets, I'm trying to serve.
Jesus, son.
I know that. Yeah, everyone's like, yeah, I feel you, but Jesus also needs to have you serve here too. And I'll be like, dang, man, you're right. You know what I mean? This is part of my ministry as well. You know what I mean? So it's just like trying to find a way to be the best servant I can in both fronts. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's been a struggle for me. Yeah.
That's real. That is real.
I'm learning.
See, man, you got all the time in the world.
Yeah, you never know, though.
Well, we got a little side spat again.
Yeah. Common theme of conversation.
It is. But no. So both of you guys, I mean, when I talk to people who are probably young and being married, whether they're, have Christ in their life or not, or just about to be married, just the synergy that is involved with pouring into each other. Because I think what happens in this patriarchal society is either you buy into, okay, the man is supposed to be this life force, and, the wife just kind of stands aside and just goes with the flow, goes with the plan. Yeah. Or in this independent society that we have, a wife will assert herself like, well, I'm going to do my thing, and then you can do your thing, and we're both doing our thing. Mm-hmm. But then that's not synergy. That's not like pouring into each other. You're just kind of, it's tit for tat, it's scorekeeping, and stuff like that. So, yeah, I have a question here, I promise. But
explain that thing out.
Just like, how has that evolved for you both over the years? Like, if there's anything you could give to like someone just finding out what it takes in this journey of being married.
So I'll start because I know my wife. She takes time to process. I can kind of hit it off the hip, so I'll do that. I think what you have to embrace is the mindset of communicating and being able to have open talks with your spouse and being able to connect with them emotionally. I think emotional connection, i.e., how are you doing? What went on in the day and how did it make you feel? It will get you to a place where you will learn one another and learn their speeds, learn their triggers, learn their, encouragement, learn how to, to love them.
Right.
And when you are connected, and this needs to be taken at I would recommend a spiritual level, because the more spiritually intimate the spouses are, the more emotional intimacy will be breathed as well. Yeah. And then once you got spiritual intimacy and emotional intimacy, everything after that usually is pretty, kicking. And so, but that requires, I'll just challenge the guys to be able to have those talks and lead with humility. In the areas that we need to grow in, So one of the things I try to do to get synergistic with Tasha is let her know, hey, this is what I'm working on. This is where I'm kind of falling short. And then she'll share with me where she's growing. And now we're working together at the same time on our personal kind of things, but knowing that we have to do it as a team. Right, so when you're working together as a team, you got to talk to one another. You can't run plays unless you got some form of communication. Whether it's hand signals or you're calling the play in the huddle. And so I used to run a lot of plays independently. I'd say, and just go off and just say, hey, I'm just gonna go do this. I'll tell you about it when when it all works out. And now, one of the best ways that we get synergistic is when I humble out and I ask my wife for advice on different things that God may be putting on my heart, visions that I may come up with, or simply, what type of, events we need to plan for the ministry, whatever that may be. But just asking for advice from her and then from other spiritually mature men and couples that are in our life to be able to say, hey, how do we do this synergistically? And the older Pattersons, Mike and Sean, have really helped us a lot with teamwork.
They're technically two T's. It's technically a different pattern.
It's a different pattern.
They're their own people.
They're their own
The Pattersons with the double T's.
The double T Pattersons.
I'll speak up.
I'm the older one.
They're their own people.
Oh man. Oh.
Honey,
But
any
no,
thoughts?
I agree. I mean, I agree with everything you said, and just going into it, and synergy to me means we each are bringing our own energy. It's when you're trying to change mine or I'm trying to change yours that we're not going to be able to bring it together to make a new and more powerful product.
Right.
So just remembering that I'm bringing who I am to the picture, and just trying to maintain that.
Yeah, because even as you guys was talking about that, what I'm saying, I know that's like one thing I forget, like, because it's like Siobhan is substantially older than me spiritually. Like, she's like 21 years.
You gotta
spiritually
stop at older.
Spiritually.
I really didn't stop at older.
See, y'all making this worse than it was supposed to be.
They know you back, man.
And you know your wife looking at this.
She called you a
to me.
cougar.
But no, Rashad helped me clean it up and say she's a boom.
Wait a minute.
Oh, you did.
What's wrong with cougars?
Huh?
Oh.
Ain't nothing wrong with him, but he was like, she ain't that much older than you enough to call you a cougar, so he said she a puma.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so you.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Oh.
Come on.
That's what she is then. That's a sensitive
Back to
spot.
my point. You know what I'm saying? You talking about
Pull yourself out the hole.
spirituality. You know what I'm saying?
Siobhan will talk.
You know what I'm saying? But she been 21 years in the faith. You know what I'm saying? Unbreaking 21 years. You know what I mean?
Able to drink.
And I just forget sometimes that I can get advice from her. You know what I mean? Like, hey, y'all making this worse. I know I'm doing it wrong.
It was a side comment that only thought. But go ahead.
Continue.
See you, Melon. Doing this to me on purpose. But yeah, you know what I mean? But I forget to ask her for advice sometimes because I was like, man, she don't been leaders of many Bible talks and done a lot of things in different ministries up the East Coast. You know what I'm saying? So like it be like, but sometimes in my own pride, I just be like, man, I should be able to figure this out. You know what I mean? Like, and then I end up just kind of like withdrawing altogether and just like, I'm just going to my own little cave and I'm gonna talk to God, even though God don't put tools around me, lay hammers, nails, all kind of stuff around me to help build his house. If I just say, hey, you with the hammer, can you help me do this? But I don't, and like a lot of times I end up just like, then I hit the wall all the way. Now I'm just sitting disarrayed, and she be like, hey, I seen this situation before. All you had to do was this, this, and this, and I'm like, dang, I knew she had the answer, but I just like, you know, I'm gonna do this on my own.
Right.
And so oftentimes it don't work like that, and that's why I like when you said, you know what I mean, like just humbling out and coming and asking, because I know that for me that is one of my hard points, just humbling out and asking, because sometimes I can ask a stranger, but sometimes it'd be hard for me to ask my wife. You know what I mean? Like I can just walk up to a person and be like, all right, I'm struggling with this right here. How do you do it? Help me. But with her, I just be like, man, I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing out here in these streets. And I come to her and then she be like, I thought you was a man. You're supposed to be leaving the house.
No.
Even though it don't never happen like that. You know what I mean? Even though it don't never happen like that. But I still play that in my head like, no, I'm a man. I'm supposed to figure this out. And I come to her with the solution like, baby, we going to jump over this mountain. Instead of like walking up, using the steps that have been provided by God and just journaling on up the mountain. So I just, it'd be hard.
Yeah.
That's right.
That is true.
I just want to take the time to thank each and every one of you here on today for giving your girls some good wisdom and perspectives in marriage. 'Cause I feel like I'm gonna be fully equipped.
Hey.
When my time comes, you hear that, bae, out there?
Is that to someone specific?
No, she just sitting it out there on the airwaves.
Whoever you are, I'm praying for you,
She casting her line.
and I'm getting my wisdom.
She's ready. Yeah, she ain't hard headed now. Like, she hard headed. We'll have to have these talks again, huh? I forgot you was in
I mean, that's real. It could be somebody
See
right
that?
in your face. Be somebody right in your face.
Steve Neal just co-signed
It could
me.
be someone in my
Someone right in your face.
to be continued.
We've been doing a lot of awkward transitions today.
Yeah, you know, I'm back. That's
Maybe
probably
this
why.
forward thing, this straight across setup is not the best.
It's nothing is the best. It doesn't matter what.
Yeah, I don't think it's
That's-
position. I'm just the outsider kind of looking at it. It's not position.
It's not the position at all. It's just
This is the way that I love Darius.
yeah. You've been a good sister to your brother.
I have.
Yeah,
You've been a
man.
good brother to me.
Yeah.
I don't have any biological brothers.
Yeah. I got 2, 5,
2, 5,
6 sisters.
6. 2, 5, 6. Wow.
Yeah,
I had one of them on recently.
2, 5, 6.
Yeah.
256. Wow, your mother was a trooper.
Is that even chronologically possible?
Mom, if you watching this, I get out the camera.
Love you, Mom.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm good. No, go ahead. You got it.
Do your thing.
Final thoughts.
Yeah,
Stevie
we're
Nicks.
there. We're there.
Yeah, we're at the end.
We are at the end of the program. Final thoughts. What you talked about, Ed, as far as the trap of seeing people you may respect and admire and trying to emulate their life. without knowing what it entails. I think I've been trying to learn as I'm like 7 years married, 7 years in the faith, the difference between maybe imitation and just straight up assimilation of you know what I mean? Like, I've been trying to humble myself out to be open to imitating good examples, because I've always felt like it was assimilation. I was just like, well, I have to be someone else in order to comply, you know, to like someone who's giving me advice at the very least, or even like being a good Christian man. You know what I mean? Like, you know, but I'm learning like more of a balance, you know, of getting advice and really implementing it into my life and marriage. So I think what you touched on was important. It was just like, you know, you saw good qualities and you burned yourself out maybe trying to get everything they have, because you probably know the story, the full story. So, but then instead just like imitation, just getting advice and taking the best of what you two are and applying that advice. So I think that's awesome. So that's my final thought. Melody.
Hello.
It's me.
My final thought is actually just a challenge to those who are claiming to be a disciple of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
You had to say it like that, huh?
Yes, I did.
Calling people.
Well, you know, I'm calling people higher, you know.
We ain't never called nobody out over here, I don't think.
No.
It's the first time.
Yeah.
History.
Oh, stop it.
No, but
Anywho, what are you doing within your careers to help the next generation under you grow in their career and their spiritual walk with Christ? I think that's something that I try to consistently ask myself. That reminds me of my why. Like, why am I doing this? So that I don't get lost in the gift that God has given me, that I forget who gave it to me in the first place. So just continue to challenge yourself in those spaces, and how, you know, just with the various topics that we talked about today, you know, from, you know, bullying in school to, I don't know what we could actually do about Arthur, but maybe even just creating visuals. Have more conversations in the home. It starts at the home, you know, the connotation of things starts at home. And I know, like, there are situations, like I did explain, where there's not an adult there's adult that's present, but not present in mind of what is going on to even consider talking about those issues. So how can you even insert yourself in those spaces to be able to even create those resources for those kids who are raising kids as well? And, you know, just never forget your why. Never forget why you're doing what you're doing. Like, don't get so lost in the gift that God has given you that you forget who He is, and that it don't be taken away. So yes, don't forget your why. That will be my final thoughts. Miss Jackson.
Oh, I do final thoughts?
Yeah.
We all do it.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I can let you process.
Let me process.
Dr. Jackson, I'm learning.
That was quick on the draw.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
So my final thought would be, you know, the two issues we talked about, Arthur and the school situation, how I believe we can truly make an impact in our community by the family conversations and the investment into our children on a daily basis. I think that one of the things I have conviction about that my wife has helped me with is that, you know, in our culture of ministry, we reach out to all types of people. And Tasha challenges me, don't forget to reach out to your kids in the same fashion. And I think in doing that, we can begin to have healthy conversations that kind of address those two issues that we talked about in the beginning. Because I know God has entrusted me to train Kennedy and Grant.
Yeah.
And so I must do that by investing in them, and that is just not throwing them in the car and putting them in the pews on Sunday.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I'll go now so Darius can have the final thought. My final thought is just I am honored to have been a part of this amazing forum, especially because they are celebrating 1 year. That's awesome. But just having a place where we can have these conversations and just brainstorming and collaborating with ways that we can be a part of the change, you know, and I think it's so very important. So, you know, I've learned a lot just sitting here for the past 2 hours, and just something that I can take with me and hopefully share with others, but hopefully they're watching so they'll be able to share with others too. Mm-hmm. But just amazing. I mean, I applaud you all for bringing, you know, different topics to the forefront, things that would have kind of definitely flown under our radar, because I had briefly heard about Arthur, didn't think about it. I don't even know if you had even heard about it.
I'm glad Steven told me what we were talking about today.
I mean, so no, but I'm just saying, so things that would be in the busyness of life would have just gone right by us, and you know, so we appreciate the fact that you're bringing those things to the forefront and just getting thoughts and conversations going on about them. So kudos to you.
I got one more final thought.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
If y'all are willing to train a married couple to do a podcast.
Wow.
Hey, that would be dope.
That would be dope.
Come on.
We got to bring that to the next quarter.
Yes.
Come on, trifecta.
Hey, man, it's simple when you got time. All it take 25 minutes of your time, drop a couple Jews, share your life a little bit.
Oh, yeah, Mel is
I can show you how to do this right here. That's easy. All you got to do is plug it into the computer.
Oh, and we got a cameraman who's anxious.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, man.
Great.
Yeah.
I can teach Grant how to do it in, you know what I'm saying?
You'll get it.
So, yeah, man, it can happen. Final thoughts. After I get off my gleam of excitement of hearing that. Final thought. Just as we talk about things today, and I feel like even like something that Dr. Ed brought up was just not compartmentalizing his life. I feel like that's something that I always kind of like just struggle with. You know what I mean? Because even like I was explaining to a sister today, I was just like, I feel like I'm able to, you know, I feel like I be two different people. You know what I'm saying? Like I come to work on this guy, and then I come to church on this guy. Not really, you know, changing how I act in my character, but just like how I approach things, and like leadership, serving, you know what I'm saying, out, you know, and going out of my way for things that are purposeful, you know what I'm saying, and forward moving in God's kingdom, you know what I'm saying. But the thing of it is, and as I'm learning and I've been listening, I feel like God been putting people to just put things in my ears. It's just like all the same thing, you know what I mean? Like everything you do is for me. You just have to make sure you stay in constant representation, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't turn it on and off. It's once you got out of that water, it was on always. You know what I'm saying? Now you can, you know, cover your light. You know, you can hide it. But at the same time, you know, you'll be doing not only God an injustice yourself, because you will be studying your growth. You know what I'm saying? You won't learn the things you need to learn. You won't build a community that is needed. And I even like what we've been talking about in churches, like for like prayers and stuff like that, and you know, really just being audacious, you know what I'm saying, in our prayers and asking for things. And like, it's so many things that I've been praying about, and so many things that I want to pray about that it's just like, it is too big for me, you know what I'm saying, but it ain't too big for God. And just learning how to be all things for God everywhere I am. I feel like that has been one of the greatest journeys I've had in the past 7 years. You know what I'm saying? And like, and actually, you know what I'm saying, just trying to be better, you know what I'm saying, learning that in order to be a leader, you have to be a servant first, because all leaders are servants. Every leader that I have seen in our church community are servants. Like, you don't you see them lead, but at the same time you see them working. You don't see them sitting around watching everybody else work. They pretty much they outwork everybody in my eyes, and it challenged me and said, "Man, I ain't doing enough. I think I'm doing a little something. I'm moving a couple of things, but I'm not like actually using the energy that God has given me and pushing forward." And it's been challenging me because I feel like God kind of like just lifted the blinders off my eyes and was like, yo, it's so much stuff that needs to be done and there's so little people to do it. And I can see how people can get burnt out from it when if you don't have people in congregation turning on, you know what I'm saying, and stepping up to the call that already you answered when you got out of order. But I guess we kind of set that phone to the side, you know what I mean? But yeah. Do something. That's all I got.
All right. Thank you for joining us on episode 210 of Convrs8. It's been an interesting season so far.
Yeah,
I know this has been like our 5th set change.
Yeah, we change sets off. We just trying to confuse you guys.
Yeah. But you know, we're always trying to push the envelope in all areas.
Yeah, we always trying to grow minds. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's one of the things that's good in conversation. That's why we call it conversation.
That's right.
You know what I mean? That's just talking.
The very essence.
You know, everybody struggle with something. And all it's 5 people in here. You got different lives. You gotta count. You gotta learn something. You can find something in everybody. Are you trying to say I couldn't count? I was gonna say it. You know what I mean?
256 sisters, right?
Yeah. Let it go, brother. Just let it go, brother.
She's rubbing off on me.
You're right.
So you know, before we sign off, if you're still here watching, subscribe so that you can get notified of the next time we decide to get together.
Yeah, Mel will be here now.
You know. See, we let people grow here at CMC.
Let him know.
You know what I mean?
Let him know.
At CMC LLC, okay? We want to let people grow.
Now you ready, boy. Gunned up now, bro.
I just told you at the beginning of this episode that everything that has come out of your mouth has come true for me. And you still here trying to tear me down.
What's going on here?
I don't say nothing about podcast bros.
You right, you don't.
Now we're getting to it.
Wow. After all the help that I've been giving you guys.
I know, you know what I'm saying?
After the show when they have
something wrong with that.
good stuff, yeah. It's the good stuff. Yeah.
It's the stuff that y'all miss.
It's deeper than rap.
It's happened a couple
of
times.
It's real beef. What?
Patties.
Okay, so yes.
Yeah, we finna stop because we're becoming too redundant.
So yes, subscribe so that you can not only get the notification that we're going on, but also our back episodes. There's plenty of them. We have like 40 plus total videos at this point.
Yeah.
You know, going back to our Facebook days, if you want to check out our Facebook page and our YouTube collection. So,
all right. Bye, y'all.
Yeah, see y'all next time.
Wow.
This is Convrs8.
We talked about
it.
We talked about it.
Yeah.
Slide to stop.